Hey guys, Level Cap here. The Call of Duty Black Ops 4 Blackout beta has finally come to an end. I've been playing it on PC, having a really good time, and I want to talk a bit more about the game mode and the potential behind it, what I like, what I dislike, what I think Activision is already changing and needs to potentially change before launch. And can we just take a moment to reflect on what a crazy year this has been for first-person shooter releases? Granted, Call of Duty and Battlefield have not even launched yet, and the amount of crazy hype and tension surrounding these two titles has been nuts. Battlefield has botched so many things, and now I'm launching a Call of Duty game from battle.net, and it's really fun and well optimized on PC. Like, what the heck is going on right now? I'm so confused and enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun, and it's nice to see Call of Duty deliver a really fun game experience for the PC. That being said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It is a beta at the end of the day. There's bugs, there's balance issues and stuff, and I want to get into some of that here. But first, let's talk about what's so great about this new Blackout game mode. You can certainly criticize it for being basically a PUBG clone, because it is, except that PUBG, in my opinion, is a massively flawed game, and the developers seem to have dug their heels in with their design principles, or even gone in the complete opposite direction that I've wanted them to go in with pacing and combat, where Blackout seems to take the formula and get rid of all the things that I generally don't like about PUBG and replace it with more fun game mechanics. I'm not dying to the environment in Blackout. I'm not spending most of the game looting and looking for stuff and not seeing anyone and then dying randomly to some dude camping in a house. Yes, it can happen in Blackout, but I don't feel like I'm spending so much downtime in Blackout compared to PUBG, and so much time spending looting and less in combat, and so much more time traveling and less in combat. Blackout has better pacing, better combat in general, and more fun and more variety with your tactical options. Let's talk about the basic deployment right off the bat. You pick up loaded guns. You don't have to find a gun and then also find the ammo, then load it, and then you're in a race to see who can load their weapon first. You pick up a loaded gun. If somebody's nearby, you start shooting right away. Gets you into the action, one less thing to worry about. Guns in general seem to be much better spread out in buildings and around the map. I've only died maybe once or twice not having a weapon when spawning in, and maybe once or twice killed an enemy player who didn't have a weapon. But for the most part, I'm having firefights with my enemies, which is different from the PUBG intro. So many of those games start off with not having a weapon or a way to fight back against your enemy. Visually, the map has a lot of variety in locations. You've got farms, you've got firing ranges, you've got graveyards, you've got wind farms, you've got deserts, you've got shipping yards, you've got skyscrapers, you've got little suburb style areas, you've got river town areas, you've got massive hydro dams that you can jump off of. They give you a huge amount of options visually to choose from when getting into the game, and also combat wise it changes up a lot depending on what environment you're in. So you really have to change your tactics or your weapons depending on where you are. And the map seems to naturally spread people out across it pretty well. You might think you're going in for a fringe drop or a less populated area, but you're probably still going to see one or two enemies, and you're going to have to fight for control of that small area. If you want intense action, you can go in a firing range where you might see 4, 5, 6 people there and have to fight for control of firing range or decide if you want to bail out of that combat situation. But for the most part, I didn't find any areas of the map where you can get guaranteed solo looting experiences. You can always try and get as far away from the combat as you want, but I feel like the map really does lend itself to drawing people to all areas of it and spreading out the spawns really well. One of the biggest changes or additions beyond what PUBG has is the gadget variety and the perk system. So the gadgets, you can get things like armored shields and grappling hooks and sensor darts and stuff like that. You get intel options and you get movement options. The grappling hook is awesome. It allows you to get up to hard to reach places or zip around your enemies quickly, especially if they don't anticipate you having them. It just adds a huge amount to movement strategy depending on what kind of gadgets you pick up. Then the perk system, allowing you to pick up different perks around the map and activate them, getting things like silent movement or awareness that allows you to hear people from incredibly far away, all of a sudden now turns you from somebody who's just constantly looking around and observing to somebody who can hear people extremely accurately from very far away. Now you can become a hunter. Now you can go down and look for people and try and hunt them and take them out. It's not going to work every time, but the perks and the things that you can pick up can change the way you think about playing the game pretty drastically, and that's fun. I like changing my playstyle on the fly based on what I just pick up. It just adds so much more variety into the way that you can approach and play the game. You might have your sort of comfort loadout where you get this one assault rifle and this one sniper rifle and all your armor and meds, and that's where you like to be. But you know what? Getting different perks and stuff like that can really shift that up and make you much more effective with different loadouts that you might have not expected to be effective with at all. Plus, they've got zombies in the game, which at first I was thinking, okay, this is just gimmicky. They're throwing zombies in there because everybody loves zombies and blah, 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 blah. But they implemented it in an interesting way. Zombies drop pretty decent loot. You can use different perks like Brawler to get in there and fight zombies more effectively. And there's usually really good loot drops around them. Plus now they just added a boss to the game, so like there's NPC variety, and if people engage them, you'll hear them across the map and you can try and ambush people going for NPCs. It just adds a huge different element to the game. So people can really approach Blackout from so many different strategic elements and different angles, well beyond what PUBG has ever offered. Plus, there's flying vehicles in the game. Helicopters fly through the map. They blow up sometimes. They give you different strategic options for getting up to high ground if you want to. You can bail out of them and wingsuit around the map quickly. The transport trucks allow players to shoot out the back of them, and it works pretty damn well. COD with good vehicle mechanics and stuff. Who saw that coming? Pretty damn awesome additions to the game mode. Now, of course, the game isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Creating a new battle royale experience, especially in the beta form, is going to come with some problems. The first day of the beta on PC, I was crashing nonstop all the time. There was some sort of looting bug issue. They fixed it server side. I don't even think I downloaded a patch. The game just started working perfectly the next day. Haven't had a crash since then. The performance is decent considering that they've now upped the player count to 100 on all platforms. So on PC, I had no problem getting 90 FPS. There is an artificial frame cap in the game right now, locking you at 90. Hopefully you'll be able to push past this at launch. I believe the developers intend this. They're just messing around with some performance stuff. So there's a cap in the game during the beta. Hopefully we can uncap this and give further feedback at launch on overall performance. The game definitely starts to show its console roots when it comes to the gunplay. Now, I don't know if there is auto-aim when you play Blackout on console. Actually, it doesn't look like there is auto-aim, but there's mechanics in the game that definitely come from an auto-aim era of shooters. So, for example, massive muzzle flash on your weapons. This makes it very hard to track people, whereas on console, the auto-aim might have done a bit of that tracking for you, made it easier. On PC or without auto-aim, the muzzle flash is an absolute nightmare. Plus, when you take damage, your whole screen flashes red. That combined with muzzle flash, again, makes it very hard to track your enemies. One of the hardest games to track your enemies out of most PC shooters that I've played. When it comes to sniping, I can't help but feel like something feels a little bit off. I don't know if I just don't know the COD sniping mechanics, but I was standing still, aiming at some people who were also standing still. My shots would go high. I would see the puff of smoke on the ground behind him, and it just didn't feel like the shots were going where they should have been going. Again, I don't know all the nuanced mechanics of sniping in COD, but it didn't feel great from the start. Maybe some refinement in that area. Looting is probably the weakest part of the game right now. There's no way to cycle through gadgets or health packs while you're playing, so you have to go into your inventory, then equip the health pack that you want to heal with, then press the heal button. It's all very awkward and doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Removing optics or attachments from your weapons and dropping them on the ground versus putting them in your inventory, swapping them to different weapons is all very convoluted and complicated, and you can't see both both weapons in your inventory at the same time. Picking up guns automatically swaps them from your primary weapon, even though that's an option you can turn off in the menu. It still does it anyway. Picking up attachments automatically puts them on your gun, which means if you pick up a magnified optic, it'll put that on your weapon, even if that's not what you intended to do right away. The perks all look very similar when you're looting quickly. Color coding would be nice. One of the perks is color coded, but the rest aren't, so more color coding would certainly help for quick and easier looting. Also, when you're looting downed players, you pretty much have to sit still, which makes you an incredibly easy sniper target. I've died a lot looting enemy players. There's not always enough indicators if there's another enemy player around, so it becomes a very easy tactic to watch a firefight, wait till one guy goes for the loot, and then just waste them real easily. Where in games like PUBG, you could at least jiggle back and forth while looting, or Fortnite, all the loot would pop out on the ground so you could run over and just pick up what you wanted really quickly. There's also no auto pickup ammo thing, so a lot of times when you're running past a weapon, you'll try and pick up the ammo that's next to it, and you'll actually accidentally swap out the gun instead. So it would be nice if they just refined the whole looting system in general and just made it more streamlined. Some of the environmental graphics could certainly use a little bit of refinement. The developers have put a lot of grass and particles blowing through the air, which definitely attracts the eye. And also some of the textures and bushes flicker in the distance, which draws the eye again. I find myself looking and focusing in on lots of things that I think are enemy players, but then are not actually enemy players. And then, of course, there's the armor balance problems. Right now, the game has 3 levels of armor and then 0 armor. Now, if you have the highest level of armor, you get 65% damage resistance, also headshot resistance, and resistance to explosions and other effects and stuff like that. A player topped off with 200 health and level 3 armor can absorb well over 2 times the damage of a normal full health player, which is crazy and a bit overpowered. It basically determines who wins a firefight very easily if there's 2 equally matched players, which kind of sucks. Granted, looting should give you an advantage, but maybe not that big of an advantage. Also, when you kill an enemy player who is wearing armor, you almost always destroy their armor. I'd say like 19 times out of 20, I've destroyed the enemy player's armor, which means that you're not going to get any armor options. Even if you kill a better geared player than you and you need to take their armor, you won't get it. So I've spent a lot of games sneaking up on people, taking them out, hoping I could get some armor and not getting any armor. It really sucks considering how much of an advantage armor gives you. So the durability of armor, in my opinion, should be higher so that you can loot it off of your enemy players, but the resistance of armor should be lower, if that makes sense. They've got a little bit of balancing to do. Treyarch already said that they're working on armor and it's going to be changed. One small thing that I think they could have easily added to the game to make it a bit more interesting, especially since Call of Duty is the king of kill streaks, is why not integrate some sort of kill streak mechanic into the game? I'm not talking about missile strikes or autonomous drones or flying airplanes that seek out enemies. I'm talking maybe intel bonuses, or supply drops that you could call in after you kill 3 or 4 players. Just things that reward players for going after kills. Because right now, how it works, if you get fully kitted out or you get like most of the guns and stuff that you like, you don't really get a huge advantage from engaging other players. In fact, the only thing that happens when you engage other players is you get your armor all shot up and then knocked off, and you're actually worse off after pretty much every firefight than you started off. So adding in something like kill streaks would increase the incentives for being an aggressive player, or at least reward you for fighting people. If you had a hell of a round killing 10 people, by the time you get to the end circle, maybe you've got a nice little intel kill streak that'll help you locate the enemy player, or just something to give you a little bit of an advantage for your hard work throughout the game. Anyway, that's my general feedback for the Blackout game mode. Overall, I am very impressed by how much fun this is, and I know a lot of people out there are probably not even going to give this game a try because, oh, it's Call of Duty, and I get that there's a huge amount of like hate or disdain for the general Call of Duty gameplay. I myself don't care for Call of Duty multiplayer gameplay for the standard game modes. I haven't for a long time. It's just fast-paced, it's chaotic. I'm not knocking people who like it, but it's not my cup of tea. But guess what? Blackout is completely different. Sure, it borrows a lot of the same mechanics from the other multiplayer game mode, but the TTK is a lot longer. The tactics and strategy are completely different, and it completely changes what I think of as a Call of Duty experience, completely. And so it's definitely worth giving a shot. If you missed the open beta, that kind of sucks, because that was a good free opportunity to try it out for yourself. But I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunities in the future to get your hands on if you don't actually want to drop the $60 just to play a Battle Royale game mode. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of the Blackout beta. I think it's absolutely going to shake up the Battle Royale scene forever, and it's going to be one of the biggest games of all time. It's definitely set up to do so. I'll see you guys next time. This is Level Cap signing off.